Told you a truck driver cracked the code to building a crypto empire. Meet Bitcoin Ben. He went from driving 18-wheelers to creating 6 different ways for regular people to stack Bitcoin and build wealth. This isn't just another crypto course. This is a complete ecosystem where you earn while you learn. First up, the confidential bulk purchase program. Get Bitcoin at wholesale prices through group buying power. Then there's Home to HODL. Convert your home equity directly into Bitcoin instead of cash. Need funding? The Loans for Bitcoin program gets you the capital to buy more crypto. Want passive income? Private Key Capital puts your Bitcoin to work. Hungry for something different? Bitcoin Ben's tokenized beef lets you invest in real cattle backed by blockchain technology. And if you want to mine? Bitcoin Ben's mining program gets you started with the right equipment and knowledge. But here's the kicker. Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club pays you to learn. Earn 10% on direct referrals, 5% on second level, 2% on third level. This might be the only membership where you make more than you pay. Ben went from 10 years behind the wheel to becoming the world's most unlikely crypto expert. Now he's sharing everything through live training, community events, and proven systems that work. Ready to stop watching from the sidelines? Join Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club today and start stacking sats while building your financial future. Your truck driving days are over. Your crypto empire starts now.
Good morning, and welcome to Bitcoin Thursdays with Dr. J. I am Dr. J, and I am here today in lovely Naples, Florida, where there's a lot of money. And there is a wealth conference that is going on where my friend John Drew has brought together the old world of banking and the new world of banking. So obviously we are representing the new world of banking. It's really cool. This is the Naples Symposium, and it is today. We are sponsors at it. So, we got Private Key Capital as a sponsor. So that's awesome. And what is really cool is we got Michael Saylor as our keynote speaker here. And as luck would have it, I'm on a panel right before Mr. Saylor at about 3:20 this afternoon. So Grant Cardone and myself and CJ will be on this panel. So it's great to have a little speaker card, and I'm all set here in Naples, and I'm in a conference room here in the hotel, at the Hilton Hotel, where this is being held. But I wanted to do this show and just give you a preview of what we intend to share with the world and why that is important. You don't ask permission to breathe air. You just inhale it. You don't wait for permission to use Bitcoin. You just sign the transaction and off it goes. There's something quite amazing that I'm witnessing here as the old world rots. These bankers, these bureaucrats, these talking heads, they still believe they're in charge. They still believe that value comes from their little signatures and stamps and sacred little pieces of paper. The truth is that power left their hands the moment we built a network that does not need any permission. Now, I'm pretty sure at this point, we didn't invent Bitcoin. Satoshi didn't invent Bitcoin to get rich. Perhaps, just perhaps, he invented Bitcoin because we are tired of asking, tired of being told what is allowed, tired of living in a world where value moves slower than lies. See, last week on October 28th at 3:28 p.m., it was a warm afternoon in El Salvador, and I was sitting with our dev team. I had Ben on the line. And what we did at the credit union is a first of its kind. We sent Bitcoin directly into our distributed treasury wallet. No bankers, no Swift codes, No overnight reconciliation, no middlemen, just math, the keys, and finality. This was not a demo. It was a demolition. It was a declaration of independence. In 10 minutes, on chain, that transaction settled into our wallet that is the world's first credit union with a Bitcoin wallet that accepts native Bitcoin, keeps it as treasury, integrates this into the ledger system. Oh, by the way, you see, the Bitcoin blockchain is our ledger. There is no separate ledger. All transactions settle on chain. How remarkable is that? We have complete transparency and we have complete privacy. We have patented this stuff. This is a completely distributed architecture, a completely distributed wallet. The money doesn't sit in one big Nostra or Vostra account. The money sits in your wallet and you have the keys and the bank has the keys. But these are the only two people. This architecture doesn't exist until now. We are the world's first credit union to actually have successfully completed a Bitcoin deposit into a distributed native Bitcoin treasury, which is regulated by banking laws only in the country of El Salvador. Now, in a few years from now, hopefully, other countries will catch on and other countries will do the same. But for right now, we hold a beautiful position. And so it begins. Quietly, this beautiful code with a single Bitcoin transaction completed in a credit union is perhaps more revolutionary than any speech made in Congress in the last decade. And this, my friends, is the point. And remember this point in history. It is written into the blockchain. That transaction will always be there on the blockchain forever and forever. No one can dispute it. Everyone can see it. It is the moment that the old world started losing its grip, and we're not giving it back. You know, McAfee said something very remarkable, and I remember he said, the truth is never convenient for power. That is exactly why we are here. Because power, real power, is shifting away from the government, away from the bureaucrats, away from the Federal Reserve, to code, to software, to truth ledgers, to engineering. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet is no longer the ledger. The Bitcoin blockchain is the ledger. The old oil empires are crumbling because the world of distributed energy and Bitcoin miners is the new Federal Reserve. What we are witnessing is not a revolution. It's not a financial revolution. We are actually engineering the new architecture for civilization as we know it. The truth lies in code, in thousands of lines of code. And when you dig deep into it, as I have been, you start to see this beauty, this incredible beauty that emerges from math. Because math is real. It is permissionless. It is trustless. See, it removes the most vulnerable of all of our systems, humans. Our judgment is not required. Our permission is not required. Our interests don't matter. What matters is math. So where do we go from this first transaction in El Salvador? We build an architecture with code that replaces the old system. The distributed treasury model that we have built is not a fintech experiment. It's a declaration that credit no longer belongs to the gatekeepers. See, the same gatekeepers who have been selling your money back with interest. That's what a bank does, right? It takes your money and sells it back to you with interest. And here we are, building the world's first Bitcoin, native Bitcoin hybrid. Actually, it's a hybrid architecture, which is not a traditional bank. We didn't go to El Salvador to build another bank, another parasitic institution that sucks away the money from the average people to the few. No, sir. This is a nerve center. We don't hold customer deposits. We hold cryptographic keys. We don't rely on trust. We rely on mathematical finality. When you send money, when you send a Bitcoin, it settles on chain instantaneously. There is no overnight reconciliation and the option to change it and tell lies. There is no T+3 settlement. That mathematical finality of that transaction instantaneously, cross-border, written on chain, settles every 10 minutes or sooner. And once it's written into that blockchain, it is written forever. It is the truth ledger. And that, my friends, terrifies central bankers. See, because this first transaction that we did, this first Bitcoin transaction into a banking institution, into a regulated financial institution, is a prototype for the post-bank world. It runs on a multi-sig custody. It runs on HD-derived wallets. It has a deterministic transparency. Every node that we run is an auditor. Every transaction self-verifies. This is monetary reformation. Now picture this. Imagine there is a network of credit unions on Bitcoin rails where deposits are being secured cryptographically with signatures, not by government decrees, not by those little blue stamps on a piece of paper. The node is verifying, every ledger agrees, and every member of the credit union owns a slice of that truth. That is what our credit union has accomplished with that first transaction. It's a spark in that neural network. You know, in the brain, there are neurons firing everywhere. This is the monetary nervous system, a nervous system that is immune to inflation because it's Bitcoin. It's a scarce resource. It's immune to corruption because the math has to solve itself. Both sides of the 256 hash functions and the Merkle roots, they need to match up. There's no human error. So now we scale it. That's why we are creating private key capital. We can have 1,000 hybrid banks, each running its own node, each running its own mining operation as treasury, its own Bitcoin reserves, where loans are backed and credit is backed by computation instead of your FICO score, where yields are generated not by speculation, but by physics. And you know I love physics. That's why we're doing this. This is not banking. It's monetary revolution. You see, it has no, it's not a financial organization where you can cut off the head or flip off one switch. It's just code, running, humming, unstoppable. The old treasury system ladies and gentlemen, is dead. Their vaults are empty. Fort Knox is empty. The debt is infinite, whether it's 5 trillion or 35 trillion or 350 trillion. It's an insane piece of a number on a screen. And all of you know that money is not, every Bitcoiner knows this, you know this. Money is not a number on a screen. It is your effort. It is your energy. It is your trust. That is what money is. You see, the entire older system is based on you having social security numbers and your future worth to do work. That's where the worth, that's where the value comes from. We know money is nothing but your effort, your energy, and your trust. And when that trust evaporates, as it always does, when you have infinite debt and your coffers are empty, that money is no longer money. That's where we come in. The new treasury is digital. The new treasury is liquid. The new treasury is incorruptible. It's not backed by power. It's not backed by promises. It's backed by energy. You see, when we run the Bitcoin miners, and we run them in 7 different locations in 4 different countries right now. So I have a little something that I understand about Bitcoin mining. It cost me $48,000 of energy, of electricity, of power to make a Bitcoin. We don't just print it out of paper. This is real money. When something is difficult to do, it costs money. Network security costs money. Making a Bitcoin costs money. It costs effort. It costs labor. That is what makes it real. That is what makes it sound. It's not a piece of paper. And it's limited. And therefore, irrespective of what the price is doing right now, go all in. Step hard on the gas. Every time it dips, buy more. Because this is, I believe with every cell in my body, our salvation. It is our future. It is how future civilizations will be built. It's an architecture. It's not a price on a screen. It's code. When you hold Bitcoin as your base reserve, and you can lend against Bitcoin, not in dollars, but in sats and Bitcoin. And when you can generate yield from the generation of solar and gas and nuclear and hydro and flare and stranded gas, and you can convert that energy into this digital constructs, which holds value for 1,000 years. You have just taken your labor, your work, your effort, and put that genie in a bottle. And then that Bitcoin can unleash its power into credit products, making more money, which then feeds more miners, which then makes more Bitcoin. You see how this cyclical loop works? I call it a monetary financial reactor. It's a feedback system. That's how nuclear reactions work. One neutron hits the atom, splits it up, releases energy. The energy released hits 2 more atoms, and then 4, and then 8, and 16, and 32, and so on and so forth, right? It's a nuclear reaction. It's called a nuclear reactor. We're not building a bank, because our view is that the world of energy and the world of mining and the world of banking are going to start to converge. We're building a monetary nuclear reactor. It's perpetual motion. Energy, mining, create bitcoins. Bitcoin becomes treasury. Treasury becomes lending products. Lending products make money. Money gets siphoned back into making more mining and making more energy at a lower cost. This is perpetual motion. It's not in defiance of physics. For those of you who are going, there is no perpetual motion. But it is in perfect harmony with Lenz's law, with the second law of thermodynamics. It's in harmony with physics. This triumvirate, treasury and credit, energy and code, this is not speculation. We have done the transaction. We've got parts and pieces of it. Now we're just putting it all together. What you're witnessing is civilization upgrading its operating system. Every few days, I get an update on this cell phone. It says, your operating system is being upgraded. Watch. This holy convergence of energy and mining and credit and code is upgrading the civilization's operating system. And the beauty is that it removes the one ingredient that has always poisoned every economy: trust in men. We no longer need belief. We have verification. We no longer need policy because we have math. And math does not negotiate. I'm going to cut over for a quick word from our sponsors, and I'll be right back on the thesis that we are talking about. Over to you, Sherpa. For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here. And welcome back to Bitcoin Thursdays with Dr. J. I'm Dr. J. And so I'm going to dwell first on that first piece of mining. You see, people think that Bitcoin mining is about computers or rigs or power production, and they would be wrong. It's about control. It's about control about who wields the watt or the joule or the electron. See, mining is like the modern refinery, sort of the next industrial revolution. Every terahash is like a turbine. Every substation, a mint. We are converting electrons into sovereignty, one block at a time. See, we just did a deal with Go Mining. For every single club member that we have, for $25, you can buy a terahash. It's the tokenization of terahash. It's brilliant. See, Jeremy from Go Mining is going to be doing presentations for our members, and any member can join in and put a sum of money, anywhere from $25 to $250,000, and be in the mining business without ever having to know anything about computers or rigs or terahashes. It's all set up. It's tokenized terahashes, producing cash flow every single month for anyone who invests into it. And by the way, you get a 5% discount on the purchase when you are using the Bitcoin Ben Club, our private key capital affiliate link, which we will be sending out. Janet will be sending that out. So it's really important that you start to understand terahashes. You see, because eventually there's going to be terahash-based credit. If you own a certain number of terahashes, there's a very well-defined cash flow that is tied to that terahash. It's mathematically computable. The compute power is known. The network difficulty is known. We are not speculating anymore. We're forging digital steel, and we can lend against it. These are the things that will make Bitcoin go over $1 million. I'm looking at some notes here, people going, hey, Dr. J, when's Bitcoin going to go over $1 million? Look, I don't know. And in some ways, I know the sound of inevitability. It's coming, whether it's this year, the next year, or in 10 years. Bitcoin is not going away. Bitcoin is replacing the world as we know it. And I certainly don't expect that replacement to be an easy process, to be a process where there will not be friction or opposition. There will. We'd be foolish to think that we could just walk in and tell the fat cat bankers and the oil men that their business model is being replaced and not expect pushback. You see, but we are able to take the oil men spill and flared gas waste and turn it into a currency that governments cannot counterfeit. We can use exhaust to now make money. Traditional power plants feed grids that collapse under its own politics. Our global ledger of Bitcoin never sleeps. And unlike our lovely politicians who I had the privilege of meeting a few times, Bitcoin never lies because it is math. The miners of the next decade won't be geeks and guys in little garages or even people who have built out miners at some scale. Miners are going to be the next industrialists. They'll be running 50 and 100 megawatt fields. They'll own the energy. They will own the hardware. And they will be the balance sheets of the new age. See, there's a big difference in consuming power and commanding power. Now, we at Private Key Capital have learned this lesson. We have been working at this for a while now. You can't be free. You can't be sovereign if you rent electricity from the same people who are printing your currency. So we buy the wells. We will need to acquire for generations power generation sites. We will need to own the gas and the flare and the electrons that other people waste. Because whoever controls the flow of energy will control the future of money. This is the core thesis around which we're going to develop and build private key capital. We're going to go out and get massive amounts of capital of people who believe in our thesis. What is that thesis? Whoever controls the flow of energy will control the future of money. It's as simple as that and as complicated as that. So the next generation of companies, of which private key capital will be the prototype, because I don't expect innovation to come from the big giants. Banks are not innovative, and they're not based on innovation. Utility companies, highly regulated, are not innovating anything. So to expect something new to come out of them is chasing a fool's errand. If you want something new, if you want to build something new, an organism that breathes energy, that mines Bitcoin, that lends capital, and pays all of this within this regenerative nuclear reactor, it has to be a new company, a new type of company, with people who understand all aspects of it, with people who see the future, that this is not evolutionary, it is revolutionary. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are building at Private Key Capital. Imagine energy being converted to Bitcoin, Bitcoin pledged as collateral, credit issued in Bitcoin. The profits reinvested into more energy, a self-feeding, self-governing loop of thermodynamic wealth. What I'm describing is not a company. It's a living architecture, a generator, a heart, a wallet with a neuron, sparking, little sparks inside your brain, and one that does not ask permission from anyone. See, my view is that mining is, in fact, the backbone, without which Bitcoin is just math. It's Merkle codes. It's SHA-256. Beautiful algorithms. I've seen the code. I love the beauty of the code. I love the simplicity of it. I love elliptical functions. But at the end, I've come to the conclusion that it is the conversion of energy through the process of mining, which uses all of the Bitcoin algorithms and codes. That is the backbone. The Bitcoin is the brain. That's the backbone. This is industrial scale infrastructure that we need to build. Energy, heat, capital, math, all fused into one. With Bitcoin miners as the new power plants, digital oil becomes the stranded gas or gas flare. This is what's going to power the financial velocity of this change. The more power, the more energy we can put into this mining business, the more financial velocity this process will have. The monetary engine of the new age is going to take root. We got to understand that security and energy are two sides of the same coin. Why is it that you secure networks? By making them so expensive, so it's immune to attacks. Once you start to understand that dynamic, which is the more expensive it is to do something, the more secure it is, the less likely it will be attacked. They'll attack weaker fortresses, not the strongest one. See, we are securing our wealth anchored in physics, in Bitcoin. Proof of work is the energy. And energy is the only honest currency that's left. You know, when we own energy, we don't buy it from a grid, we build it. That'll be a very unique company that doesn't consume power. It creates power. And when it creates power, it creates Bitcoin. And when it creates Bitcoin, it creates a bank. It creates a bank, it creates credit. This is what's been going through my head for this monetary nuclear reactor called private key capital, where decentralization is not a concept, it's a survival strategy. The grid goes down, your miners keep running on gas. The banks collapse, don't care. Your treasury, distributed treasury, still clears transactions. The government inflates its currency, don't care. Your Bitcoin appreciates by design because there are only 21 million. It's almost like there's this anti-fragility which is embodied now in code and copper wires that carry the power. So this is, in fact, the energy sovereignty's cornerstone, where you don't own your megawatts, you own your destiny, where every MCF of gas redirects towards deploying hashes. In many ways, my friends, we are mining freedom itself. So here we are, building our first native Bitcoin architecture banking in El Salvador. Here we are building the first Bitcoin-backed treasury. Very soon, I'll be speaking with CJ on this People's Reserve, and a shout out to them. They're awesome, awesome people. You know, they're going to be building stable coins for us. You heard it here first. We're going to have the PKUSD, which is the private key USD, which will be tied to Tether. And as deposits, as you start to store your Bitcoin in Private Key Capital Credit Union, in our credit union, we will be able to take that asset base that we have and be able to create stable coins out of it, which can then be used for lending. And once we prove this model of a new company that's part energy provider, producer, part miner, part lender, all of it powered by Bitcoin, we have just created this new credit architecture that'll be repeated by 10 and then 100 and 1,000 different credit unions, which is going to dispel this thing called fiat. It's a grand illusion. Because money that is created from nothing can only buy illusions. Fiat is created from nothing. It buys illusion. But energy is real. Bitcoin is the synthetic energy reserve. It's liquid and global. It's a self-funding flywheel. Now, will this system that we are building, will this company that we are talking about, and we have put the first few roots into place, and yes, we are looking for sovereign energy sources that we can own in the future. We already own a lot of mining. We already own a credit union that has now proven with that transaction that we are real, that we can accept Bitcoin, that we can create Bitcoin-based financial products and credit. And the third leg of the stool is owning a power generation entity that we own. And that is going to be the triumvirate, which is programmed with freedom, not control. Bitcoin is the machine. And yet Bitcoin doesn't care who you are. It doesn't need your passport. It doesn't need those stamps on your compliance forms or your confession. It only needs a proof of work. It's probably the most honest metric that was ever developed. And it's a business. Let's talk about business. What's business? Business is profits. Let's look at the margins, because I know, having run multiple successful companies, that cash flow and profit is your destiny. Let's look at the traditional regulated industries. Most industries operate 10 to 15% margin. Banks, perhaps close to 12%, because they keep charging 24 and 30% interest rates on credit cards and charging you for every transaction hundreds of dollars. Is bullshit. Oil producers, they have a margin between 10 and 20%. It's volatile, goes up and down. But look at Bitcoin energy hybrids, the sort of company that Private Key Capital is going to be. We're looking at compounded margins, perhaps 10% from the energy side, 20%, 30% from the mining yields, and 10 to 15% from credit yields, all stacking into a single system with over 50% blended profitability. That's pretty remarkable. Each one of those individually can produce the margins, because I'm not selling molecules anymore. I'm selling bits. And by the way, I didn't even take into account the appreciation that Bitcoin is going to get over the next 10 years. If the appreciation is going to be, say, 30% a year, we're looking at an 80% blended profitability margin. But let's leave that aside. What are some other aspects of the business that I like about this monetary nuclear reactor that we are making? It has no inventory risk. Some of the companies I ran, my biggest risk was inventory risk. That's all I had to deal with. You buy too much, you can't sell it, you take a loss. You had to sit on predictions. I don't have to do that. You see, I have no inventory risk. I have no currency exposure. It's Bitcoin. Yes, there's volatility, but there's no currency exposure. There'll be Bitcoin off-ramps. No central counterparty. It's completely distributed. Just electrons, silicon, and code. So you see, when you start to look at a traditional business, you say, hey, does it have cash flow? What are the margins? Do you have inventory risk? Do you have currency exposures? These are the type of questions I'm used to answering when I sit in a boardroom and talk to the guys with pots of money, whose only objective in life is to create more pots of money. See, they will understand this language. They will understand the reduced monetary risk, the reduced exposure to currency, the reduced exposure to inventory. And oh, by the way, they will salivate when they see the kind of margins this hybrid Bitcoin energy credit company can create. Therefore, I rest my case that such a company is inevitable. It's inevitable because the margins of physics will always outperform the margins of politics. You can't sanction thermodynamic laws. You can't regulate proof of work. And when they realized that they can't beat it, they will join it. Now, don't get me wrong. Governments will always try to outlaw freedom in the name of safety. You only have to look back a few years for the COVID years, where your freedoms were taken away under the guise of safety. And the buffoons and the people will cheer. See, the nice thing about Bitcoin, it does not negotiate with fear. It computes, it calculates, it wins one block at a time every 10 minutes. And that win is rewarded. So here's the truth. This fiat empire will not collapse in one day. But that collapse has certainly started with our first transaction. We have already made that transaction. It was done on consensus, it was done by hash rate, and it was born from freedom. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And mining, the ASIC computers, they never sleep. Because freedom does not come from policy. In my world, freedom, ladies and gentlemen, comes from proof of work. Well, I'm going to go and see what some of the other speakers are saying in the other room. It's good to be with you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you know where we're going with Private Key Capital. This is our thesis. We're sticking to it. God bless you. God bless America. Back to you, Sherpa.
What if I told you a truck driver cracked the code to building a crypto empire? Meet Bitcoin Ben. He went from driving 18-wheelers to creating 6 different ways for regular people to stack Bitcoin and build wealth. This isn't just another crypto course. This is a complete ecosystem where you earn while you learn. First up, the confidential bulk purchase program. Get Bitcoin at wholesale prices through group buying power. Then there's Home to HODL. Convert your home equity directly into Bitcoin instead of cash. Need funding? The Loans for Bitcoin program gets you the capital to buy more crypto. Want passive income? Private Key Capital puts your Bitcoin to work. Hungry for something different? Bitcoin Ben's tokenized beef lets you invest in real cattle backed by blockchain technology. And if you want to mine, Bitcoin Ben's mining program gets you started with the right equipment and knowledge. But here's the kicker. Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club pays you to learn. Earn 10% on direct referrals, 5% on second level, 2% on third level. This might be the only membership where you make more than you pay. Ben went from 10 years behind the wheel to becoming the world's most unlikely crypto expert. Now he's sharing everything through live training, community events, and proven systems that work. Ready to stop watching from the sidelines? Join Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club today and start stacking sats while building your financial future. Your truck driving days are over. Your crypto empire starts now.